Episode 477 of the TV Dudes, recorded March 7th, 2024. The Rookie Season 6. This week, we're talking about the return of Nick and Les's favorite cop show, The Rookie, as it returns for a 6th season. Will Aaron survive his coma?
Will the other officers even notice if he dies?
Even scarier, will something crazy happen before Bailey and John can get married? And most importantly, do any of our listeners know what we're talking about? Don't worry, we'll catch you up. But before all that, I'm Les.
And I'm Nick. And we're the TV Dudes.
I don't know about you, Nick, but I feel like I watched a bunch of TV this week. What's in the diary?
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
Oh, I don't know. I think it was basically just, what do you call it? We watched some Magicians, because you've been on the rewatch of that.
Yeah, I tore through most of season 1 of The Magicians and filled in some holes that Nick didn't remember from whenever you watched part of it.
From that show. Like, I think I'm pretty sure I made it all the way through season 2, and I'm like, oh, man, I remember nothing about this. I mean, as it happens, I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen this. Like,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like,
So things start to set up and you're like, that's right, Josh, okay.
we watched the latest episode of Ghosts.
That's right, which we were hoping, based on the title of it, meant that Jay was going to see ghosts for an episode, because it's called He Sees Dead People.
No, it's not. That's not.
No. Jay's sister's boyfriend from, callback episode is pretending to see ghosts, which is not a bad setup, but was not the episode I wanted it to be. I want Jay to see ghosts, damn it.
Mm-hmm.
Just once, just one episode. He deserves it. I do love that it's become a new running gag on that show that he routinely tells Sam, you don't deserve this power.
Yeah. Like, you don't appreciate this. Like, this is cool, and you are not getting it.
Right. You were not paying attention.
We watched I watched an episode of One Piece. Which
I watched the very first episode. Yeah, most of it.
Because we were like pretty curious. Like, I wonder how like the Avatar. We were just off the Avatar: Last Airbender.
Yeah, live action
adaptation. We were like, well, and I was like, well, Les, have you ever seen the One Piece? So I think you watched the first episode.
I watched the first part of the first episode and didn't plug into it when we first talked about it on the show. And rewatching it now, it worked a little bit better, but it's still just it's anime, and it is in its story structure in a way that Avatar is not anime, really.
Right. Yeah.
And recognizing that, like, also, man, I will not get over like the basic logic break of him never saying One Piece and never saying anything at the start of the show that even sort of sounds like there's a literal treasure. I mean, 2/3 of what he tells everyone to go find are feelings within you.
It's one of those that, like, I feel like they get it across.
I don't feel like they get. If I had never seen the anime and you weren't in the room with me, I would wonder why the fuck all these people got in boats.
Right, because it
makes no sense.
My treasure is out there is supposed to be literal, and for you it sounded more like a metaphor.
Well, it absolutely was. Like, he says, like, all of my treasure, fame, he said, he doesn't say fame and fortune. He says 3 things, and 2 of them are feelings, is out there for you to find. And it sounds like, quit your day job and go live free, hippie.
My fortune, fame, and freedom are out there for you to grab.
Yeah, so like a big pile of fame and freedom just out there on an island somewhere in one big piece.
It's a list of things. It's my treasure, which will give you fame and freedom.
That's not how they phrase it grammatically. That's not what he yells. And yeah, I will never... It's the title of the show. Like, we talk about the One Piece live action adaptation as being amazing, and like, you guys missed describing the show when you translated it to an audience that may not have seen the anime.
So I think they do. It's just one of a, like, if you really want to look at it, I mean, like, as a metaphor.
If you had not told me how the show works, I would have no idea why that event set off a world of pirates. I don't know. Other One Piece viewers, did that catch y'all off guard? Does anybody realize that you needed to see the show to know the show?
I mean, speaking of ill-defined treasures, Jellystone has a reboot that I didn't know about that we watched a couple episodes of, and then I've watched another one after we went. So it's all the Hanna-Barbera characters basically in a town called
it's everybody,
Jellystone.
like Top Cat, Huckleberry Hound, everybody.
Yeah, Magilla Gorilla.
Yeah.
Jabberjaw.
Grape Ape.
Yogi Bear. So it was interesting and funny to see how the first episode I just thought like, okay, so this is just gonna be set up gags and whatever, but actually in the second episode they follow through on a lot of stuff that they establish, like Yogi Bear, Boo Boo, and who's the second bear, or like the female bear.
The female bear, and I can't remember her name.
But they're all doctors, and they remain to be doctors throughout the other episodes, which I thought was like, oh, they're actually
I thought
shockingly.
That was going to be, yeah, like in a Tiny Toons, there are doctors in one episode, but then they're not doctors.
No, but like shockingly consistent. Like
Cindy Bear is her name.
And so Yogi gets can't decide on what to eat in a cafeteria, so they give him a nuclear stomach in which he can eat anything. So he accidentally eats Boo Boo and then starts eating everyone in the town.
Yeah. No, that we watched at least one full episode of that, which I think was in 2 little short episodes.
Yeah, we actually watched 2 episodes. Okay. We watched like they're all titled different.
The show's kind of dark and bonkers. I kind of enjoyed it. I sort of remember it coming on. I don't know if we talked about it on TV Dudes for Real or not. I think it got overshadowed by other terrible cartoon adaptations like Velma. But this is wild. This is really fun.
Grape Ape falls asleep in the middle of town, causes a fucking
river
disaster.
Of drool
river. Like they have to do like a fantastic voyage into his stomach to grab him out. The mayor is Underdog, or no? Who's the mayor?
Hound.
Huckleberry Hound. That's who he is.
Huckleberry Hound is the mayor.
There's the mayor. I just watched an episode where Augie Doggy and Daddy Doggy, they seem to be featuring heavy in episodes.
That caught me off guard. It's not that popular of a character, I didn't think.
But yeah, I watched an episode where Paul F. Tompkins plays Magilla Gorilla, and he runs a bow tie shop, and Jabberjaw works there, wants to get a raise, promotion, and he won't give her one. So, and then he gets hit by a coconut, and he can't remember anything. And so she tells him that she's the assistant manager, but then she keeps fucking it up. So she keeps having to hit him head in the coconut so he'll forget again. And he can keep telling her that she's the,
that's great,
the manager. So like it ends up to where he they hit him on the head way too much. And now he can't remember anything.
He got the brain scrambled.
Yeah. He's got.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. But they're short episodes to begin with, and they're each split into 2. So, oh shit! Remember the one My Doggy Dave? Is the one, and because Augie Doggy and Daddy Doggy can't go anywhere without taking Augie Doggy with him. And so like his friends like Yogi Bear,
like we want to go bowling and please don't bring your kid.
Yeah, and like so they can't really get that across to him. So what he does instead is he dresses her up into a completely different person. Like, oh, so you're my friend Dave Doggy. And they all love Dave way more than Daddy Doggy.
Like it totally backfires in a weird way.
And he starts to really he just has dresses like, I fucking hate Dave. Like he really was like Dave is a real person to him.
Right. And he's super mad at Dave. Like, Dave is also your kid who you dressed up as Dave. Yeah. Now that show is dark and weird.
They start inviting Dave without inviting Daddy Doggy. Like it's like the exact opposite of what's
what he wanted to happen.
They wanted to ditch the kid, like don't bring your kid, and all of a sudden, if it's Dave, like oh no, Dave's cool. Like we're gonna take him and not you.
Oh no, man, Dave's cool. You also went through a ton of seasons of Archer, trying to catch back up.
Not a ton. I mean, I watched the last season. Season 14, just to see how it kind of wrapped up, which I thought was pretty good, especially in the early episodes. They added a new character, Zara, who is basically a reflection of what Archer used to be, like a very kind of insane rogue element,
right?
And super confident. and basically just young now that Archer is canonically pretty old now, at least for spy work. And what I was shocked by was like, oh, what a great addition. I actually, last seasons where they add in a new fucking character, like, is that...
Yeah, no, the Cousin Oliver of a show is never good.
And then they kind of like ditch her in a couple episodes. And like all they really establish, they don't go into a backstory for her a lot. They all establish she's a gambling addict, but that comes back. But I was like, oh shit, you didn't really. And of course, the seasons are only 8 episodes long now, so they can't really. And then the episode, the season wraps up pretty well. Other than the fact that I'm like, oh right, like Slater is now his main villain because him and Barry are kind of cool.
Yeah,
or him and other Barry, since they split personalities. Katya comes back. Patrick Warburton as that seaplane captain comes back for a second. It feels like a hit the big notes finale, but I realized that like, oh, all the big moments you wanted to hit, you've either hit before,
right,
or like, because it's like, oh, he learns like you know, given the option to learn who his father is, he decides to choose his chosen family, the team in the office. And I'm like, dude, he's learned that a couple seasons already. Like he may be mean to them a lot, but I think since like I want to say since season like 6 or 7, he's kind of realized that, you know, at least that Pam's his best friend. Like it's been pretty canonical throughout it, I think, a lot that like there's more Archer with Archer realizing that the crew is important to him than there isn't.
Right.
And what I was interested was because we watched some more of the Last Airbender cartoon for Patreon that we're going to cover. When you are making a story, Archer, the first couple seasons are what we talk about, Mike Schur, of like confidence. They go forward with like Archer sleeps with Pam in season 3. They meet Burt Reynolds in season 3.
Season 3 or episode 3?
Season 3.
Season 3. Okay.
Yeah. And but that's still pretty like,
yeah, still pretty early.
They
for how long that show's run.
Yeah. I'm like, oh right, the Burt Reynolds joke. Actually, I remember it as a long running thing.
That's really early on now.
Really early on, and they wrap it after that.
Yeah. No, I have a moment with Archer of, I don't know, like looking at the Foo Fighters or Metallica or somebody of like, oh, that's right, you guys have put out a dozen albums since I quit listening to you.
Yeah, and the thing is that like they're not bad, but you can definitely tell that, oh, either the original writers, like the team's definitely switched over at some point, but like or showrunners and writers. But eventually they start to like, we want to know what we want Archer to grow, but then he can only grow so much without changing the show. So they start to tread water. And the biggest treading water is the Coma seasons. But honestly, they tread water after that too.
Yeah.
Like there's some cool elements, like Archer and Lana basically kind of have a agreement of like, you know, they're going to co-parent together. Even if she has to chase him for Interpol, which is kind of cool.
And Pam goes with him, right?
Pam goes with him at the end, and that's what I realized, that there's at the last couple seconds of the show, the only people they show in the last few seconds are Lana and Archer, and then Pam and Archer. I mean, they can't.
The two biggest. I mean, Mallory's gone.
Right.
The two biggest relationships on the show then, because everybody else is just a coworker. Cyril's kind of a prick. Cyril has gotten worse over time, and honestly, you don't really care.
No, Gillette's fine, but there's not really anything.
But again, don't really care.
But like, who's his best friend?
Right.
I don't know.
And like, Carol's not a real character. Cheryl.
No, she's insane. I mean, Krieger, like, what's it?
Right, Krieger's a weirdo.
And I'm like, and Zara was just added to the crew. I'm like, I get this, but also you realize that it highlights that you haven't built anyone that's a character, like any relationships between these.
In how many years? Yeah.
Besides these, yeah.
So
I thought it was very interesting. I'll go back and watch. And so I went back and watched season 2 and 3, going, you know, around and just to see what it was like beforehand. And like, oh yeah, they had a confidence of moving forward with story. And like, you know, Katya comes around in season 2 and turns into a like cyborg in season 3. And Katya is like a thing where like Archer learns to either trust the team or the team needs to trust his feelings on things. And like, oh, okay, there is progression and growth in these early seasons that has to stop at some point because we need this to go for 14. But you know, it is what it is. I think season 14, from what I like, it's a real return to form, especially in the first couple episodes. I thought it was really funny, and Zara is a great addition as far as like they do a body count, like like knocking goons unconscious competition.
Yes, that was great.
Which is really great. She goes forward with the puns. Like she's you know, all around a great character that I think is worth dipping back in for. I think I watched an episode of what's it, the Witcher, like to come back, like the last, I realized, oh, I never finished the last 2 episodes of The Witcher, so I finished the last episode of that, which was a Ciri focused episode. Like there wasn't a lot of Yen or Geralt, and I was like, oh, I kind of like, the only reason I'm watching this is to see the last hurrah for Henry Cavill as
right. This is wrapping
character.
up his time on it, right?
And I realized that I'm like, I don't care, because it's like they're not wrapping up the story. Like they're going to go forward with the story.
Liam Hemsworth will be picking it up, right?
Yeah. So it's I'm like, it feels like I'm finishing something, but I'm like, no, the story is not wrapping up.
Yeah, it's not your last coin toss.
This is so like I can't expect a series finale feel off of this.
No, and it's that is weird because it shouldn't have it, but you're going to feel like it should.
Yeah. It was a odd sensation that I might be holding against something for that. But yeah, that was my TV days.
Let's see. I watched the movie War Dogs with Jonah Hill and Miles Teller, which I had seen before. I forgot Bradley Cooper guests in that. I assume he's a producer. That's why he drops into one scene and acts.
Sure.
It's a fun movie. It kind of reminds me of Lords of War, the Nicolas Cage. There were a couple of movies.
Lord of
there.
War.
Yeah, Lord of War. There were a couple of movies there where kind of exploring the weird world of small arms dealers.
Yeah.
Like you're not the guys standing outside a gun show, selling selling a AR-15 at the door. Like, you're not those guys. You're looking at the bottom of the list of a 50-page government document request for proposals, and you're picking up some like tiny crumbs that whatever Dick Cheney's company or whatever can't do.
Yeah.
And so like these are the kind of and they're not adored, they're not well loved, they're kind of viewed as scum. You were definitely arming conflicts and making the world get shot more.
No, you're perpetuating and making sure that like everyone like, hey, anyone who my dream is for everyone to get an AK. Like what was it in Nicolas Cage's line in Lord of War is like if it means any different to you, he's talking to Ethan Hawke, like his guy chasing him, like, hey, if it means anything to you, I would prefer if everyone who shot my guns missed, just as long as they're shooting.
But I need them shooting.
And it's like, oh my God, that's fucking awful.
And that's kind of where I get the feeling Jonah Hill's character in War Dogs gives no fucks, like do whatever. And Miles Teller's character has some conscience to it, but at the same time, his way of viewing it is that this war was happening either way, and the government's going to find someone to fill this contract either way. Like not bidding on it will not stop anything, is how they rationalize it. But it also is sort of at least loosely based on a true story, as true as any movies are. And these two dipshits get themselves in so far past. Like at one point they win a contract and the guys are like, well, first we were a little nervous about going with you boys because you're such a small outfit, but honestly, your bid was so low we couldn't turn it down. And Jonah Hill's like,
how much lower?
Just for my, just so he's like, well, we're not supposed to tell you all that, but
it's between y'all.
Just between y'all, you were 40 million under. And like he goes out in the hall and just loses his shit.
Yeah,
because like. You could have still locked it in, lowballing everybody at 10 mil under. Like, yeah, you left that much money on the table. But at one point they end up, they have to circumvent. They end up getting in trouble for it all. But they have to circumvent embargoes from various countries. Guys in Iraq, military wants a bunch of Berettas. They don't want a knockoff gun. They want Berettas. Berettas are an Italian gun. Italians will not ship a weapon into Iraq.
Got it. All right.
Cool. Jordan doesn't have that problem. So they ship them all to Jordan, but you still can't ship them. Like it can't be like a layover. So they load them into a truck and drive them.
Okay.
through the triangle of death into Iraq.
My God.
Like they stop for gas and like there's guys coming over the hill and they're like, what the fuck? Get in the truck, get in the truck. Like they're literally pouring gas into a moving truck from the back of it, like as they're driving away. And he's like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have stopped at Fallujah. And like Miles Teller turns around and like, what the living fuck, man? We stopped for gas. Fuck you. So like the whole movie just has to me, it is a really well constructed, silly movie because it has just incredibly fun set piece moments of Jonah Hill just being like, we made it fine.
Sure.
And Miles Teller's like lying to his girlfriend, like, no, we're still in the hotel. I'm having breakfast.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just absolutely wild. I'd seen it before, but it's very fun. After that, because it was suggested, I assume because of the Jonah Hill connection, I watched 40-Year-Old Virgin, which I had not watched since it came out, I don't think. It is incredibly sensitive for when it came out. It is not incredibly sensitive for now. I'm not saying it doesn't hold up. Like it's not like watching Revenge of the Nerds or something. But you would do it a little different now. I wouldn't say that movie can't be made in 2024, but you'd make it a little differently.
Yeah, there wouldn't be a whole you know how I know you're gay back and forth.
That whole scene would be gone. But also there'd be at least some discussion about the fact that the dude kind of seems at least gray ace. Like I don't know what he
at least has a low sex drive.
But he's got a low sex drive, and that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But it is treated as the crux of the movie. How can you not be more sexual? And like, man, some people fucking aren't fucking.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy it, which when I originally saw that movie, I was literally like this. My divorce had started like a week prior, and it was like, man, get out of the house. You haven't gotten up off the couch in several days. And like friends took me to see that movie, and I was not in the mood to laugh. I'm pretty sure they stopped me from throwing my beer at the. I mean, I know I didn't throw my beer at the Alamo at the screen, but not for lack of trying. I was stopped. I was not enjoying it. Enjoyed it more this time. Also, as we said, been watching the Magicians, which is a fun show. Definitely fits in that rewatch, do some other stuff, rewind it back if you missed a part you remembered loving kind of show. Lisa started watching a show that both of us had kept from watching out of fear that it would be terrible.
Oh, right.
Love on the Spectrum.
Yeah.
I have not looked into this show about who made it or anything. If it is evil, someone please sound off in the comments. But I had not watched it for fear that it was an exploitative show making fun of people on the spectrum. All reality television is slightly exploitative. Going on a dating show, going on Queer Eye, going on anything like that is not going to be a totally fair and great experience for you. It just isn't. We all know that at this point. That said, I don't think Love on the Spectrum is any more exploitative than a base standard reality show, and in fact is probably going to some pains to be nicer to folks or kinder about invading their lives. And if I don't want to watch a show because I don't think that there should be a dating show for autistic people, that is kind of on me for not thinking autistic people can go to speed dating, and that's stupid.
Yeah.
I think that's really the point of this show, because what it does for you constantly through it is make you realize, like, I'm not thinking of them. I'm not thinking of autistic people. I'm othering them. I'm making them a group that doesn't have all the same stuff I have. That's not what's happened. Like, then that's not real. And so if this show dissolves that line and makes you go, oh my God, they're just as bad at dating as I am. Or when you see stuff relating, like,
I don't know, just as bad. I don't know if I would write down no during the card. Like,
but I have definitely done stuff as boneheaded in front of my date that signaled to them that you weren't enjoying yourself. Nervously yawning, stuff like that. One guy does that. One guy is at a speed dating event and is marking them no at the table while they're looking. And the cameraman points it out, like, hey man, are you marking them no while they sit there? Should I not do that? Well, they can see it.
I shouldn't do that.
I knew I'd mess this up. Like, yeah, Connor's great. Tanner's great. All the people in it are awesome. The show is like wonderful. You'll cringe at ways that you've done exactly that kind of dumb thing, or what Lisa pointed out, and what I think is probably the real strength of the show is that I don't care if you were the most typical neurotypical person on the planet, you probably are missing some rule or way that society works politely to be nice and out. And like this show will walk you through it in clear cut rules, because everybody on this show wants to know the rules. How do I know when they like me? Well, if they touch you multiple times, they probably like you. If they're doing this, they have to run through it all. And I'm watching it going, taking notes. That's a good thing. I wish I'd known that when I was 14.
Like just the unspoken rules are verbally spoken.
Yes,
like that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, which is amazing. Also, you occasionally watch people like having the look like they're having the worst time on a date until somebody says like, "Do you like Transformers?" I do like Transformers. Like I have a limited edition shock, and like boom, it's on. I think they're gonna get married. Like, yeah, it's really a better show. We ended up watching most of 2 seasons like in a burst. Holy crap, it's a really watchable show. Also, of course, we're going to talk about it on Patreon, but I watched the entire first season of the animated Avatar: The Last Airbender. Now that I've watched the first season of the live action, which I believe got a season 2 and 3.
Yes,
so
just got announced.
They will complete. It sounds like we live in an age where things can be unrenewed, but as it stands right now, it sounds like the Netflix live action will get to complete the 3-series story.
Yeah.
Which is going to be great because over the next couple of weeks, we're going to run through all 3 seasons of the animated. We're doing season 1 on Patreon this week because I've never seen them at all. And I know there's some diehard fans that are going to have a little piece of their soul just crumble off into dust when I say this, but the Netflix live action is what got me into the cartoon.
Right.
So take that win.
And honestly, it was very interesting to watch through it again, to compare and contrast, and for you as the watching the live action one first.
Yeah. It's intriguing. I think everybody, and if you like Avatar at all, if you've never watched the animated, you've always wondered why you didn't plug in, jump over to Patreon and throw down $1 and see if I can't talk you into it. I was surprised what I got out of the animated now, having enjoyed the live action.
Indeed.
And let's see, did I watch anything else? We did watch the very first episode of Mr. Show.
Right.
Which I'm looking forward to showing you some more Mr. Show. It, like any sketch comedy show, there's going to be like 3 classics and then a bunch of not filler sketches, but not classic sketches. And a certain tone of humor. These are all guys who came off SNL writing, or I think the people here came off SNL writing, and this was their place to unleash all the shit that they were not allowed to get on the air on SNL. So it's got a darker, weirder HBO vibe. They break character in a weird meta way sometimes. Like David Cross just fully breaks.
Yeah, I remember that. There's a point of like where they're just like, and fucking HBO can't spring for a goddamn set.
Right. Like, look at this place. This is clearly the set from the previous sketch. What the fuck, man? Yeah. So I'm looking forward to showing you more of that.
I thought it was interesting that Bob Odenkirk and David Cross basically play most, if not all, the characters in the sketches.
Yeah, that loosens up some. They're always the huge feature in the show, but I didn't realize how much the pilot is just them.
Well, they keep switching. Like if it's a long sketch, they'll keep switching locations, and one character will go to the next, and then it'll be the opposite. Like David Cross's character will go to another room.
They always throw to the other one,
and then Bob Odenkirk will be playing a new character in that room.
Yes,
and then they'll call someone else, and then that's David Cross, and so there's like a rhythm and
like it honestly, I was watching it going, God, Nick and I could just like chain together no other actors, like
right
just,
like
it's great.
And I'm like, and I get that impulse of like, oh, they don't want to teach a whole act. Like this is a specific type of comedy. Like, hey, I don't want to.
It's called With Bob and David. Like, let's.
I don't want to teach someone to on the phone the right way. Like
that whole bit.
Like there's a whole thing where just everyone just kind of buys time in a phone, like a phone conversation, a phone chain, and like I can see like, oh yeah, you didn't want to teach actors to just do that.
Yeah. Of course, you also get to see the world's youngest Paul F. Tompkins.
My God, he's so young there.
He's a baby.
I don't think I've like, oh man, I don't know if I've ever seen him in his 20s.
No one has. We kept him hidden away. And yeah, I think that's about it for my TV diary.
All right. Well, I think we can move on from that, and we'll I'll just remind everyone here that you can go to our Patreon page.
Shit. I almost forgot.
Oh shit.
We watched the new series featuring the best character from Good Fight and Good Wife. Elspeth Tassioni has her own show.
And it's called, wait for it, Elspeth.
And we watched the pilot. What did you think, Nick?
So it's one of those. It's very different. The
I thought it would pick up the good fight style at least.
No, apparently the Kings, them who made the Good Wife and Good Fight, they wanted it to be more like, they thought Elsbeth was their Columbo, was how they viewed it.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I didn't get that vibe from her at all in the other two things she was in.
No, I liked her being the world's weirdest lawyer. I wanted a law show with this crazy person.
Right. And so they have to do some rewriting of her character. Like there's some dialogue here where it's like, oh, well, I spent a lot of time as a lawyer defending people I knew were guilty. And I'm like, did you? Like you spend a lot of your time, it looked like you spend a lot of your time defending law firms or other lawyers.
Yeah, the only cases because we've never seen her own show, the only times that we see her are when they reach out to whatever her law practice is and hire her on to Good Wife or Good Fight. But that means we never see her other cases.
No.
And so, yeah, like when she said that, I was like, is that what you were doing when you weren't defending?
I guess there was that time where she defended Alan Cummings' character.
Yeah, Eli.
Yeah,
and he probably did it.
And I think like, I'm like, okay, I never got the sense that you were regretting what you seemed to having a lot of fun.
Right. It felt like a retcon of who we knew.
There. Yeah, so you're gonna have to like, okay, I'll assume that the times we saw you were outliers, and most of the time you were not having fun defending corporate clients or whatnot.
Right. I guess I can look at it that way. That the times that we got to see her were like her happiest lawyer moments, which is kind of sad. But on this show now, she's moved cities, and at the end of the episode, they kind of drop a twist. She spends the episode. She's supposed to be watching the cops. Like she's there as their not IA, but she's there as like
it's an overview investigator, like to.
You guys have maybe drop gunned or cheated on evidence or something.
Investigate basically just procedure, how they do stuff.
Right.
And to report back in an objective manner.
Yeah. And they've got their choice between two lawyers, her and Carrie.
Yeah, Carrie Agos, which I thought was a great name drop.
I wanted him to show up, man. I want him in her practice with her, or whatever she's doing.
I'm sure that with the name dropping him, he might at least show up for a cameo.
I hope so. I mean, I know he's got his own show, The Resident, but I don't care. Get him over here. Get him over here now.
Also, man, like the cop element is is surprisingly favorable considering the Kings are like when they show in Good Wife and Good Fight, the cops are fucking useless.
Tend to be pretty
or if not out straight up corrupt.
Right. And so I was kind of, so they go through this whole episode where she's supposed to be watching the cops and instead she just does their job for them.
Yeah, she's basically
she just solves this fucking thing.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the episode, they reveal that she's not just there to like perfunctory go through the motions. We're supposed to watch you guys. It's just it's an annual review, which is kind of how it feels. At the end of it, you find out that she is there to investigate the actual like head cop. Is that?
Yeah, it's from The Wire.
Is that Wendell Pierce?
Yeah, it was him, I think.
Right. Where is he on? Yeah, Wendell Pierce, playing Captain Wagner, and so we find out that she's there genuinely to investigate him, and I'm sorry, he does not behave in the first. They do a good job. He does not behave in the first episode like he's corrupt. I'm not saying other people might not be.
Well, he seems annoyed, like, and in a way that I'm like a regular cop. Like I'm like it's still he's complaining like, well, maybe we'll have like we need to have a lawyer, but we don't have to have this lawyer. We can like
this woman's insane,
and we can eliminate. And I'm like, okay, well, it seems to defeat the purpose of having oversight for cops if you can just fire them until someone gives you a lawyer you like.
Right. But Elspeth is also like Deadpool level. I think she knows she's in a comic book insane.
Man, she pops in. She leans in to one of the shots, seemingly out of nowhere. Like there's nothing she's leaning out of.
No, she clearly knows where the frame is, and I love it.
It must look insane from everyone else's perspective.
Like she's just weird, man. And so even for the changes to the structure of the show, I found myself still in love with Carrie Preston and still in love with her shtick here. It's like watching Monk. I like watching her be Elspeth.
Well, it's one of those things of she knows her habits and so some of them are genuinely her being weird and being forgetful of some things or not knowing a social cue. But she also knows that because people expect that from me, I can use that to get in on stuff And so it's hard to tell when she's doing it, what is a performance, what
Right.
isn't.
It's really fun in an age where there's a lot of discussion about how much people have to mask up to get through society. How much do you need to curtail any oddness in order to move smoothly? And then you've got a person who everybody that meets her is debating whether she's putting this on or not.
Mm-hmm.
And a portion of it, she is absolutely not. This is who she is to her core. But she also can use it.
Yeah.
And it makes her a really fascinating, fun. It was what always made her so fun when she popped up on Good Fight and Good Wife. Here's the smartest lawyers that are used to walking in a room and just shutting people down, man, just talking about, you stupid, here's how it is. And then there's this woman who just comes in fucking sideways every time and wrecks them.
Right.
When she destroys the Treasury in one episode of Good Fight or Good Wife. And she destroys Matthew Perry's character in one.
Yeah.
That Alexa. She almost gets busted with that. But she's just always fun coming in, like, leaning into the frame on it.
You know what they don't do? Which I thought was interesting. They don't do her thing where every once in a while in Good Fight or Good Wife, she would pause, think to herself, and kind of get lost in her own thought.
Yes, I was thinking about marbles, and like she'd have to get pulled back.
And she gets to get pulled back, and I'm like, I wonder why they ditched that. And my main theory is that she's the main character now, so she needs to be on track and solving a mystery.
Does it look weird to always have to have secondary supporting characters pull the main character back into the plot? I think it would be a funny running joke.
I think it would be fun and a reason for other people to be around.
Right.
Honestly, there's no, like, the cop that follows her.
No, is only there because procedurally there has to be a real officer there. She is simply not a cop.
And I feel like if she was the one pulling her out of, like, her thing,
Agreed.
there would be a dynamic there, and they would already, it's not like they don't become friends. They're obviously immediately like buddies.
And I think this episode is actually called Pilot, so I'm really hoping that we're just feeling some pilot stuff here, because man, I love her cop that's with her. Kara Patterson plays Officer Blank, which is just a great name there.
Boy, yeah.
But they do it 2 or 3 times where they have Carrie Preston where they have Elspeth talking to a suspect or talking to somebody, and then they just slide the camera over.
Yeah, and she's there.
This cop's just standing there. And like they do it over and over, and I laughed every time.
Well, she doesn't actually have anything to, like, she doesn't have anything to do. They just say, like, hey, you got to follow her. Like, but she can't interfere with her.
Right, because this is also kind of our watcher.
Yeah, because she's the one that's investigating our investigation. See, actually, she can't do anything, but she has to follow this lady around and watch what she does.
Yeah, and mostly what she does is watch Elspeth talk to Stephen Moyer in the first episode.
Vampire Bill.
Suck it. Who is chewing the shit out of some scenery.
My God.
I don't know if that's his real accent or not, but man.
Well, no, I mean, no wonder he plays a theater major. He needs access. He needs access to all that scenery for his diet. Yeah, he plays a Machiavellian fucking villain.
Good Lord, it feels like a poker face villain, man.
It's one of those, like, but also strikes a little true of, like, yeah, you do feel kind of dramatic, and he like plays Elsbeth like, oh, what a great chess match this has been. Like, and we're watching, and I was like, Les, do you realize that Elsbeth just doesn't have anything on this guy and has been basically poking him to do more stuff?
Right.
Like, so that she can finally catch him? Because if he had done nothing,
right, if he had not decided to engage in this chess match with the officer, then he would not have revealed himself.
Like, he makes a note for another killer once they, like, because at first it's a suicide,
and he still uses the same typo.
Fucking yes.
Yeah.
This because he double spaces but after his period or whatever. Because he's fucking, like, apparently that's what old people do.
That's what old people do.
And
it's true. It hurts me in my soul to not put 2 spaces after a period. God damn it.
It's so I don't yeah, like I realize that the cops are annoyed by her, but there is a level of, like, good, like, the King's definitely, there is still a cop here. It's a more what do you call it? Maybe not fair, but like
a little more favorable
view of cops I've ever seen in a King's show, I think.
Right. I think usually they take just a few degrees over Stan's.
But there is the lead detective on the investigation is pretty stupid.
He is fucking lazy. At
and
best.
he's
nicest
pretty
thing
lazy.
I can say about him is that he is going for the easiest.
Well, I mean, what she brings up, like you said, it's two separate things. One is the diaphragm. They find it like, oh, did she have her diaphragm in before she committed suicide?
Yeah, because people who kill themselves don't.
Yeah, like
prep birth control.
But you could also say like, okay, well maybe she had it in and she got stood up by a guy. Like one thing led to another.
Right.
Okay, but then also there was the whitening strips for her teeth.
Right.
And like to combine together, it's like, okay, I don't feel like this.
At the very least, you guys need to look into a possibility.
Yeah, like this feels a little.
You didn't find a
off.
note. You found yeah. Well, I guess they did find a note because he faked it. The text. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It wasn't quite the show I wanted Elspeth to be in the pilot, but I still love the character and Carrie Preston enough that I'm eager to see where it goes. My verdict is still out on where this slots in as far as, do I need to pay attention through this whole show? Can I vacuum and fold some laundry?
Sure.
What are we doing here?
Yeah,
is this a 22 episode or is this an 8-episode miniseries kind of thing?
It's like it's a pretty basic spin-off idea when you spin off like, oh, well, what should this character do? Hey, let's go have him solve crimes. Yeah. Fucking wow. Okay.
Right. Yeah. No. It feels like there's a ready-made show template that you can slot a person into.
Yeah.
And I was hoping for a little more than that. I'm hoping that the addition that she's there to investigate Wendell Pierce, I'm hoping unfolds into a little more of a story and a show.
Yeah. Well, you can have her running investigations and helping them, but also using these investigations to further investigate Wendell Pierce.
Yeah. So we'll see where this goes. I am sad that it comes out Thursday nights alongside, I guess, different channel, but same with Ghosts. And is it a different channel? Are they both Paramount?
No, it's Paramount.
Yeah, they're both Paramount.
Yeah, they're Paramount.
Yeah, so that's their Thursday night lineup, I guess, which means that I can't watch it till Friday on streaming, which bums me out. I want it now.
All right. Now seems like a good time to mention the Patreon page. So you can, of course, support us, the TV Dudes here, by, pitching us $1 an episode on patreon.com/the TV Dudes. You get a lot for your money here. We'll give an extra episode every week.
Yes.
This week, we talk about we walk less through the wonder and glory of the original Avatar: The Last Airbender season 1.
Yes. The Netflix did an amazing live action show, and then somebody with a time machine went back and did this spinoff a few years ago, I guess.
Yeah. We should also say that it gives you access to all of our back catalog of all Patreon episodes
and
as well.
You can comment on all those episodes. So, for $1 an episode, you can listen through and tell us that you did not like it. You could also tell us that you did like it. I understand the internet's not as big for that.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, $1 an episode, patreon.com/the TV Dude or /TV Dudes.
.com.
And yeah, can't wait to see you over there. But today, we are going to focus on a show that Nick and I love, and I am not certain that anyone at home is watching. The Rookie Season 6.
The way we do things matters. Protocol and tradition are the metal from which every cop in this city is forged.
Shots fired! One pin down out front. Bring it together now.
Suspect westbound on Redondo.
All I could think about was losing you. John Nolan, will you marry me?
Try and stop me.
Bring it together now.
I don't like that smile.
That's my smile. Julie, look out!
Aaron's bleeding internally.
LAPD has driven every cop in the city away from our target. And by the time they realize the damage we've done, we'll be long gone.
Thought we caught the mastermind, but now I'm not too sure.
Last shift before the wedding. Are you nervous?
Nope.
The curse of the last shift did nothing I taught you stick.
Today is going to be smooth sailing. Hey, Bailey, what's up?
We have a huge problem.
Whoa. This crew attacked our people, killed 6 innocents. We won't let them get away with this. The only way this ends is bad guys in handcuffs.
Our shift isn't over yet.
And also, like, love is a strong word, I think. Like, I mean, every once in a while we love it.
It's love like a family member, like a cousin that maybe has stolen from you, but you still talk to at holidays.
But yeah, Daddy Cop is back though.
Yes, and they still don't know what to do with it. It's so much better than they realize, and they know enough to bring it back, but not enough. Anyway, Nick and I don't know, during our Copaganda tear, started watching The Rookie because Fillion.
Yeah,
season 1 was kind of rough. Season 2
was better.
Season 3 is exceptional television.
It's actually pretty great.
You got to watch straight through. It's really fun. I love season 3. I think because of how good season 3 was, 4 felt like it fell off. It did not fall back to where the show started.
No, it was like, oh, okay.
And like Bishop was back or anything.
Season 5 was a little rough.
And yeah, but 4 and 5 were both rough. But 5 had Daddy Cop.
Yes.
Which is a garage band playing a song that they write on the fly about Nathan Fillion walking by, and it's fucking hilarious, and it's nothing but a cold open. It needs to be the whole episode.
And honestly, season 5, in the later parts of it, later half, I want to say, if I'm going to be generous, they kind of course correct on a couple things we didn't like about it.
Season 5 starts out with Fillion having a new trainee, Selena. And she is very psychic at the start.
Yeah.
And every time they try to deal with it, I want to yell at the screen that she's a cop. She's an officer of the law.
Yeah.
You can call it gut or instinct or whatever, but she still needs to back it with real stuff, and calling it psychic or auras or whatever. Hand to God, if that is the reason that my cop arrested me, I will wreck your career in court. It makes me physically angry to think about officers out there. No,
that guy's got a black aura. I'm sorry, urban aura.
Right. Like, that's how it feels. Seriously,
not...
that opens it up to some terrible, terrible, like, this is why cops need to justify stuff. It can't just be your gut. That's always, you could just sub out racist bias for gut most of the time.
Right.
Or reading or whatever she's doing. But they kind of course corrected that at the end of season 5. She wasn't a psychic as much anymore. And then she is again.
Well, this latest, wow. So we should
okay. Where did season 5 lead
talk
us?
about? Season 6 has to pick up for where season 5 ended with a big cliffhanger. Aaron Thorson was shot. Selena was also hurt.
Yes, but then like they both get jumped in an alley by people in creepy masks. It seems like it's going to be this huge thing. There's a new supervillain, basically. The season 6 villains seem to be on the field now. And Selena watches. It is a dark, fucking violent end to the season.
It's Thorson is going into surgery. They're very iffy if he's going to
lines going to credits almost.
If they are iffy if he's going to make it. They show the face of the new villain. It's I've seen that actor before.
Yeah, and he's like laughing on the way, like, while they're dealing with that, they don't even know what we're really doing.
Yeah, like it's all been a setup for we're about to do a thing right now. Like, so like when we come back for season 6, like it promises like, hey, the actual crime is about to happen. All that other shit was just to distract.
Yeah.
And it's a big setup. It's a big deal.
I was so excited for the season 6 premiere because we needed to get resolution on whether Aaron lived. We needed resolution on who this villain is and what this plan is. And they're going to take part of the season to solve. Nope.
So I didn't look it up, and I haven't. Like, I'm sure if you could just find the credits, you could see if writers changed or not, or if I don't think the showrunner changed. But something, I think definitely the writer's room or something changed in between seasons, because they don't give a fuck about anything that happened in that finale.
Man.
They don't care.
So like we watched the opening where they deal with in very short order, like 10 minutes, they deal with the other crime, like the big bad.
Yeah.
Wrap all of that up.
It's like 9 minutes.
It's all handled. At the end of all of that, I looked over and went, I wonder if Aaron is alive.
Hey, is Aaron alive? And then
they just was like, wow, man, I totally forgot that character was on this show. So did every other cop in that.
And then and no shit, right after that scene, it's 3 months later.
Yeah. They time jump ahead. Aaron rides up on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And every single character, if they even speak to him, give him shit.
Yeah. Don't expect to be, special treatment coming back. Like, okay, he almost died, but whatever.
Sure, okay. And then they make him go to therapy, which they immediately tell him, don't tell anything to this therapist. She works for the department.
They don't say don't tell her anything, but like, hey, keep some like they try and say like keep some stuff to your vest because
you can tell Harper views all therapists as the enemy.
Yeah, but she's also kind of not wrong as far as the department therapist is there to see if you're good enough to go on the job, like, and everyone kind of knows that. So oh well, no one's gonna say some stuff that they need to say.
Right. You need to go get your own therapist if you really need to talk. Also, he's rich; he can do that.
Yeah, right. The only person that talks to him is Selena.
Yes, and then they are currently running a plot I hate where because of their trauma bond, everybody is mad at Thorson for doing the most expected thing ever. She's the only one talking to him. She went through this with him, and he's developed a crush on her.
Yeah.
Well,
and
I can't imagine why he's lonely. All the other cops are just hard asses giving him shit.
Harper like talks to her about it, and it feels weird as far as just like, hey, you can't be his only support structure. And I'm like, Harper, the fuck? Then you do some of the heavy lifting here.
Could one other cop talk to him? Anybody?
Like, she's not his only support structure because of anything those two characters chose. It's not like Aaron is pushing everyone else away, other than Selena.
Right.
You guys are being dicks about it.
They also absolutely act like they should not date and it would be horribly wrong when that is how the show started with Fillion and Chen. I mean, with Nolan and Chen.
Yeah.
I am so annoyed at how they're handling Aaron. I'm sure that they're writing him off the show. Like, you can't convince me otherwise right now. And the show needs his character.
Well, I mean, they
don't know what to do with him, but they need him in there.
They need a fucking young black character,
right,
as a cop, like, for just in a like diversity public relations type way.
Yeah.
But these writers are like, and it's obviously like season 3 was the better one because West, the guy
the character playing West was
vocal about it and wanted more stuff. And I'm pretty sure that I think Aaron's in for the long haul less. And the reason I think that is because I think his character is much more go along, get along. His actor is much more go along, get along. Like, hey, whatever you need me to do. And the writers are like, cool, we don't really want to write anything for you. Like, you're just kind of on the show as a token black guy. For a minute,
it was like they'd figured out that his role would be the only cop who doesn't think every single criminal is the world's dumbest scumbag.
Yeah.
Because they all think criminals are fucking worthless. And I don't mean convicted criminals. I mean, if it seems like you might have been involved in something and you aren't currently a cop, you are a terribly stupid, worthless human.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron was the only one who was occasionally like, hey, maybe he got rat fucked.
And so
that was going to be a great role for him. They need it.
Yeah.
But they are not going to make him do that.
No, the writers aren't interested in that. They are much more interested in Nolan Bailey stuff, and they're way more interested in relationship stuff lately.
I am still because we ran through so many girlfriends on Nolan. Like, it seemed like his love interest would last a few episodes. Allie Larder was working at that hospital. Suddenly we go to the hospital every episode, then we're done. We never go to the hospital again. When Bailey appeared, I just thought it was going to be like that. And there's a part of me that is still waiting for the shoe to drop. They are now married on the show.
Yeah. No,
I'm still like, but she's going to get killed next episode or something, right?
We should also mention the first episode back wraps up the evil dudes, like, because 3 months later they actually run into one of the perps,
right?
And use him to kind of find the other,
to completely pull it apart. Yeah,
and so they wipe that entire crew, and basically kind of
that big bad's like done.
The evil lawyer comes in and basically like says, hey, you want to makes this mysterious phone call. So there's another mysterious person.
Yes, above that dude.
And I'm like, okay, if that's not a new character and if that's Elijah Stone, I'm gonna fucking throw something at the wall. Like, this show doesn't want to do anything new,
right?
Or at least it really felt like a writer's revolution of like, we don't want to do any of that dumb shit that got set up.
Of like, I don't want to do any of this. We're just gonna move on like it didn't happen. Yeah.
But at least in this one, at least it got wrapped up in one episode in the beginning of like, because that character gets shot in the face at the end of this episode.
Man.
Like the new supposed new big bad just gets shot.
Right. Done. And then the second episode is kind of a return to form.
It's the wedding, which
opens with Daddy Cop.
Of course. Well,
but then, man, I thought they were setting us. I should have known.
Yeah.
I thought they were setting us up.
The show's not that good
because they show the Daddy Cop band at the start. Like they call him back for a fake call, basically to like play him a bigger version with like a choir and shit for no reason. I guess because it's his wedding day.
Well, they never explain it, but I think the idea is that it's
like
a
Selena.
viral video, or or that Selena, like, I thought it was like, oh, someone pranked you, someone set you up.
But I don't know. And then they do a thing where their DJ that they're going to hire for their wedding reception turns out to be like a felon. Like he's just trying to do a bunch of illegal shit in front of them while they're discussing it.
Hey, guys, want any Molly? Ah, shit, that's a felony.
That's a felony, man. Come on. And so I was like, here you go. It's a perfect setup.
Yeah.
The Daddy Cop band has to play your wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't do it. They should have. They should have.
Right.
Somewhere. Okay, none of the writers of that show are listening to this podcast, but if they are, you are cringing right now because you know I'm right.
Well, yeah.
They like, damn it.
Well, it's supposed to be.
We missed an opportunity.
I guess there was like an antagonistic relationship, and I'm like, well, wouldn't it be great if like sacrifice? Like, Nolan is like, no, but they're actually a pretty good band.
Right. If he just had to grudgingly admit of like, it's a catchy song. They're a good band.
Man, how much would you love a slow waltz for the romantic song rendition of Daddy Cop?
Daddy Cop. Oh yeah.
Daddy Cop.
Oh yeah. Sell me some meth, please, so I can get arrested. Yeah.
Navy blue booties.
Yeah. Man, that song is a jam. I love it. I love it so much. And then we got their honeymoon episode, which of course, if you thought the wedding blew up and was chaotic.
Well, yeah, because after the wedding, the side plot with Selena goes wrong.
Right.
So she has to go to a CI and doesn't call anyone except Harper later when things go bad.
Only when shit goes bad, she barely gets half a phone call out before they jerk her out of a car.
Yeah.
And they all it's the closest thing that anybody comes to saying anything about what happened to her and Aaron, which is that, well, with Aaron in the hospital, we paid a lot of attention to him. You are probably not okay either. And no, of course she's not.
Yeah. And then they give a weird message about, like, they give shit about Thornton being too drunk at this party because he just got rejected by Selena at the wedding. That's where it happens. And
he does some shots because they're off duty. Well, no. Every cop is only one phone call from being back on duty. No, you are not. You're telling me no cops ever drink off duty. There are whole bars that I can't go in because they're cop bars.
Well, I mean, and Nolan has to go during after his wedding night to go save Selena.
Because there's only 6 cops, and she, oh God, in the honeymoon one, they don't ever say what tropical island they're on, but if you took a ferry there, you're still, how the fuck are you in jurisdiction?
Like, if you want to talk about burnout, like, cops are low key always working.
Right.
Well, then no, I'm not. No, fuck off. Like,
yeah,
this is not my responsibility.
Yeah. That was absolutely nuts. And it's one of the things that makes this show still just crazy propaganda and really annoying at times is this, like, all criminals are the dumbest people on the planet, and every cop is the hardest working saint.
And being a police it's a noble
moment of silence.
It's a real noble profession. Yeah. And it's what I think about this season, and when it's about when it's about Bailey and the wedding and stuff, like, it was a great wedding episode, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And
it really was.
Some of this stuff really works, but there's some stuff that they're going back to. Like, it seems like new writers, and they want to bring back, like, hey, why did we drop Selena being a psychic? That was a good idea. No, it wasn't. And because they kind of
it opens up a Pandora's box about cop ethics, man, that your show cannot and does not want to deal with.
They bring that back up a little bit. I feel like Harper is a little more hard and more distant than like they're bringing back other elements that characters have grown out of.
And not that Harper ever grew that much. Like, she just stands there like she's mad at everybody all the time. But she did marry a social worker and has she had a kid before technically, but she's got a couple of kids. Like, she should have softened some.
Yeah, and it felt like that did happen somewhat. Like, she has the new friendship with as detectives. With Lopez. And man, did we see Sean Ashmore at all? Like,
barely.
I think in the wedding we saw him, but
just barely.
We actually saw Nolan's kid too, which I was like, man, we haven't seen him in a fucking minute.
We had a prop bet going on whether Nolan's kid still exists in the world of the show.
But yeah, for every one of those things that they brought back, I was like, but I did like that Nolan and Bailey had, like, they were trying to keep one thing from the other, like the flowers or his kid not being able to get there as fast.
I was glad they kind of gave that up about halfway through.
But they gave that up, and it wasn't a big fight.
No, I was happy that because at the start I was like, God damn it, don't CW this, like don't Arrowverse this.
I also liked Chen and Tim, where like Chen is wanting him to be honest about it, and as far as Tim knows, he is being honest about it. Like, I don't know why you're being like this. And honestly, I was on Tim's side most of that. I was like, gee, like you I don't know, you keep saying stuff, and then when he pitches in or says something, you kind of punish him.
Yeah. I did like there's a moment where Tim's like, no, I'm telling you the truth.
And
I do want to have kids. I want to have kids. Is that what?
No, it's when he hooks himself up to the
lie detector.
Lie detector?
Yes.
No, he wants to have kids. I think that was never like what really freaks him out is that I don't have a problem with you going undercover, and then that registers as a lie.
That's right.
And Tim goes, "Oh,
I love that
I guess we have a problem." Like, yeah, he's surprised.
And I don't think I've ever really seen that done like that on a show that really shows that like I don't believe Tim was lying. I genuinely believe that Tim thought he was cool with it at a level that he could live with, and to have the machine show him that like, hey man, somewhere in you there's still something in you tensed up about this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's a deal breaker, but don't act like you're gung-ho for it. You're not. You're at best you are neutral.
Yeah, which, rather than a lie detector machine having to tell him that, I would suggest maybe regular therapy for all officers.
Right. But they can't talk to that therapist.
Not for
Because let's be real, even on Thorson's therapist that he's talking to that works for the department, I found it weird that he's telling her about getting shot down by Selena because he's so clearly going to date this woman on the show.
Oh wow, yeah.
Aaron is so gonna. I'll lay $5 down right now.
Well, that or the casting didn't realize that the chemistry they were gonna have,
because they have chemistry.
Yeah,
and even
which I've seen happen before.
Even before the Selena kiss thing that didn't go right, when he very first meets the therapist, I thought he was gonna ask her out right then.
And I was like, oh no, something's wrong. Like, yeah,
because they've got chemistry, and like you said, I've seen that happen sometimes. Where like, shit, y'all were cast as siblings, and that's not gonna work.
Yeah, you guys got crazy chemistry. But then episode 3, like, because everything happens to everyone on the show all at once, all the time, not only does something happen on their wedding night, they get fucked up on their honeymoon because they find a...
Well, they can't stop copping. Stuff would stop happening to them if they'd take a vacation.
Well, honestly, they take the vacation, and not even such copping as that. Well, it's definitely... Not so much copping as that he has Nolan has the arrogance of a police officer of like, I'm just going to go ask that guy in the bandages that all alone that's kind of sketchy.
Why doesn't he sit with us?
Like, I'm just going to go, ask him about it because I'm curious. And I'm like, dude, that is the confidence of someone that can wield a gun at any time.
Right.
Like you or me would be, no, that person will skin us in our sleep. I don't.
Also, just fucking leave other people alone.
Leave other people alone. Like,
I love that even Bailey's like, hey man, where does this go?
Yeah, what are we doing here? Like either, worst case scenario, he kills us.
Right.
Second
best case scenario, he tags along for our whole honeymoon,
and we got a third wheel.
I'm not here to make a friend on a honeymoon. I brought my only friend.
Yeah, and it's some guy hiding out from extradition or whatever.
Yeah.
And some unnamed island they're
trying
on.
to heal back from like facial
reconstruction surgery. And he obviously no cop. It's like, okay, so he's a cop. So he definitely fucking just talked to me out of no. Like, no one would walk up and talk to a stranger.
He's just got big cop vibes. And also, the guy rightly so thinks that they are surveilling him because during that entire exchange, Bailey's sitting back at the table filming them on surreptitiously on a camera.
God damn it!
And that's the other spot where this thing returns to form.
Yes,
we get an almost all found footage episode.
No, not all. Because everything else that's not Bailey and Nolan, it's not found footage.
It's not found footage, except for occasional. They don't even lean heavy on the body cams this episode, I don't think.
Nope.
But Nolan brings 20.
That's normally their go-to. But they bring a shit ton of cameras because Nolan wants to document that, and I'm like, okay, that feels like an old person thing, but like older than Nolan is.
Right.
Like I think he had a digital camera at some point.
He had
like
one of everything. Yeah, he had one of everything, down to a buttonhole camera. Like he had to have rated. Supply.
And so they set up cameras all over the place,
right? Which is how they catch the dude standing at their door for an hour, fucking Paranormal Activity style.
Yeah,
I enjoyed all 3 episodes, and I will continue to watch The Rookie.
Sure, absolutely,
but,
yes.
We are not back to the heights of season 3, and I don't think we ever will be.
No, they they hired Donald Glover's like company, right? The that writing
for a minute. They hired, I don't know if it was Glover's company. They hired someone to come in and do during season 3 I think at that actor's request. And after the George Floyd stuff.
Yeah. And I think that needs to be obviously when they're not, when like that's a cool that seemed to carry over for a minute, but if you don't keep,
all I can think is they must not have seen the actual viewership gains from that, because the show writing, and I'm talking independent of how it performed. I don't know who's watching this or how many or how it's doing or what.
Yeah.
But the writing got immediately better.
Well,
Season 3 was immediately like, we found out they got a consultant because we were trying to figure out how the fuck the writing got so much sharper so fast.
It's not even just sensitivity, but plot structure, character stuff, all that stuff got tighter.
They started doing stuff that was not the same cliche or same trope that you've seen on every propaganda show.
It's like
they started doing stuff Law and Order's never done. They started doing interesting new shit.
Because they lit the fire underneath the race sensitivity stuff. It's like they couldn't be lazy about anything else either.
Right.
And now, and the show's steadily gotten back to being kind of lazy about some of this stuff.
Is there a conversation to be had in America about policing? Hell yeah. Does that mean that there is a place for better written cop shows? Absolutely. These things should go hand in hand. And
they haven't
dealt with a minute there. They were on this show.
They haven't dealt with IA in I feel like 3 seasons.
Once they killed off West, his dad, who is still alive and in charge of IA, is gone.
Yeah, he can't be around, I guess, because then we would have to deal with West's death, and we want to forget that guy.
And again, man, if I'm writing this show, you had to kill a character, make his death a big thing. Like, that's more interesting than, like, there you go. That's already more interesting than just the same old, same old.
But they don't want to make him a big thing. They want to immediately replace him with Thorson.
This show seems to want me to fold laundry during it.
Yeah,
like, they want to fall back to that show, and it's cute, but that's where it's falling to, is cute.
Yeah, they don't want to do a lot of heavy lifting, which I understand, but I feel like that's because you want to make a light and fun show. Doesn't mean you have to be lazy about it either. I feel like there's an art in making sitcoms and procedurals, and like the.
If you're wondering whether you'll like The Rookie, jump in at season 3.
Yeah.
Once you're in love with it, then go, hang out with your friends and watch the other episodes. But that is their top notch. I was hoping 6 would rise to it, but. I mean, we're only 3 episodes in, but so far, this feels like where they've kind of averaged to in the last couple of seasons, 4 and 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and less Selena, the better.
Oh, man. I just don't want psychic cops, man. It's not, I don't like it.
I think even like without the psychic element, I'm like, oh, there's not a lot to your character either. Like,
no, they don't. They don't give her a lot of backstory. I need to do something with her that isn't auras, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's about all we got for now. Tune in next week.
Oh. Yeah, well, next week, what are we covering next week?
We'll see. Tune in next week when we talk about the adaptation of Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman over on Netflix. I loved The Gentleman movie. We have not loved every new Guy Ritchie movie. We did that marathon and found out that maybe we don't like Guy Ritchie as much as we thought.
I think we liked Guy Ritchie. It was just that, like, his filmography, we thought his filmography was like bulletproof, but then we found like, oh, there's some that I haven't watched before, and they put some dents in the armor.
Right. So, I mean, obviously Spirited Away was trash, but also Operation Fortune was not great.
Man, less said about Revolver, the better.
But The Gentleman was a badass return to form movie, and I'm kind of stoked about an 8-episode Netflix series showing how the Royals get involved with the weed business in England. So we'll see what happens there.
And don't forget to head over to patreon.com/tvdudes to hear what Lesson thinks about Avatar Season 1, the animated version.
Yes, we will hear what I think about it. Spoiler alert, I really enjoyed it. But you can come here, why? And until next time,
Two Dudes out.